The teams had the opportunity to do a Run What You Brung race at North Wilkesboro for the All-Star event, but they turned it down. Why? This bombshell was first dropped by Bozy last week that NASCAR did in fact offer this idea to the teams to allow them to experiment, where they could essentially bring cars to the track with a much more relaxed inspection process. Kyle Busch shared on Door Bumper Clear this week that he was all for the idea. He thought, hey, these cars are short track challenged and we need to search for ideas. On the other hand though, Denny Hamlin, a co-team owner in 23XI Racing, said he was all for the idea from a fan perspective, but when it came to the ownership side and the money side of things, that's where he hesitated. His question was, where did the costs come from? He shared that it would take 23XI Racing $2 million to do this, and he further explained that the organization would have to essentially write off one chassis for each of its car numbers because after this event, that chassis would be practically useless. I mean, think about it. If these teams are going to cheat up these cars, they're going to manipulate the chassis beyond repair most likely, and you can't use it for future events. So to spend that much for one event ultimately didn't make sense for a team owner like Denny Hamlin. But ultimately, what it comes down to is this, what we discussed in the last video from Denny Hamlin's point of view. He doesn't feel the teams should have to be tasked with paying for the research and development of the Gen 7 car. This, personally, from my standpoint, I would have loved to have watched a Run What You Brung type of race. I think that would have been so entertaining from the fan perspective, but I do get it from the monetary standpoint. And again, it goes to what do we feel the teams are responsible for? What do they feel they're responsible for? So I'm gonna put myself out of that conversation. I just think as a fan, it would have been cool to see a Run What You Brung, but I do see some issues with that from the inspection and from the information sharing standpoint. The whole point of a Run What You Brung type of event is to better the Gen 7 car and gather information. This would have to have been a collaborative effort between NASCAR and the teams to better the Gen 7 car as a whole. So let's say that a team finds something that really works for them and they're leaps and heads of front of the competitors that are around them. NASCAR's going to want to know what they did, and the teams are going to want to know what that particular team did to make that car so good so they can apply it across the board to make the product better for the entire sport. However, a team's not going to want to share their secret sauce, for lack of a better word. The other thought process I had, and hear me out here, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I am sure these teams are already pushing the boundaries of what's possible with this Gen 7 car, and they're trying to figure out some way to get a competitive edge already that could be skirted past post-race inspection, pre-race inspection during the current points-paying events that we have. This could be a way for NASCAR to see how inventive these teams can get and have been getting, maybe what they need to look for in the future. So that was at least my thought process, where there's pros and cons being weighed back and forth from NASCAR standpoint and the team standpoint, and some things we might not be thinking about outside of a monetary perspective. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below.